Hey there, Mr. Maestas here, and for this video I'm going to go over solving a system of equations, but looking at them at two word problems in which we're going to use systems of equations. So the first one here is brand A coffee worth $5.60 a pound is to be mixed with brand B coffee worth $6.10 a pound to make 15 pounds of a mixture worth $5.90 a pound. How many pounds of each brand should be mixed? So what we should do for any of these is we should look at what variables are we going to end up using and what types of things are we doing in this word problem. So we've got two things, and we can see that clearly. We have brand A coffee and brand B coffee. So here we have brand A and brand B, and we know that brand A is worth $5.60 and brand B is worth $6.10 per pound. Now we're going to have a total, here's our total of 15 pounds. So if we added the number of pounds from coffee A and added the number of pounds from coffee B, we should have 15 pounds total. So we're going to have coffee A plus coffee B is equal to 15. That's our total amount of coffee in our mixture. Then we're going to look at the price. So it looks like brand A is $5.60 per pound. So if I take $5.60 and I multiply by the number of pounds that we have for A, I should get the total cost for A. And same thing with B. It gives us the total price for B. And then our total price for the entire mixture is going to be $5.90 per pound. Well, how many pounds do we have? We have 15 pounds, so we need to multiply this by 15. And we can see that we did amount times, or cost times amount, cost times amount, cost times amount. So now we're going to solve this system, and there are plenty of ways to figure out how to solve this system. You can use elimination or you can use substitution. I think in this case, I'm going to use elimination. So in order to use elimination, I would need one of these two variables to line up with the coefficients of one of these two variables so that when we add or subtract the two equations, one of those would drop out. So for this one, I'm going to multiply the top equation by 6.10. So that way, B will be lined up with the same coefficient. So when I do that, and you know what I'll do is I'll write my answer right underneath so that I can easily just subtract them. So I'm going to have 6.10A plus 6.10B equal to 6.10 times 15. All right, let's do a little bit of calculations here. And this is going to give me 88, just this part right here is going to give me 88.5. And just this part right here is going to give me 91.5, I believe. Make sure I'm right there. Yep. Then we're going to subtract these two equations. So if we take 5.6a and subtract 6.10a, I'm going to get negative 0.5a. Subtracting these two, we'll get rid of our b. And subtracting 88.5 and 91.5, we're going to get negative 3. So now all we have to do is solve this here, one equation, and to do that we're going to divide both sides by negative 0.5, negative 0.5, and A is going to be 6. So we're going to have 6 pounds of coffee A. Once we've found 6 pounds for coffee A, we can plug this back into one of our two original equations and find out what B is going to be. So I'm going to do that right here. I'm going going to plug A back to my original formula, this one here, and I'm going to get 6 plus B equals 15. Subtract 6 from both sides, and B is going to be 9. So ideally, I would like to put this in a complete sentence. So I would say that there would be 6 pounds of coffee A and 9 pounds of coffee B. Okay, so that's that one. Now let's take a look at another example here. The area of a parking lot is 600 meters squared. A car requires 6 meters squared, and a bus requires 30 meters squared. The attendant can only have 60 vehicles. How many of each type of vehicle should there be for the lot to be completely full? So again, we need to look at the two variables that we're going to be discussing, and it looks like we're going to have cars and buses. So I'm going to go with C and B. So we have cars and buses, and it looks like how many total vehicles, we got to think to ourselves, how many total vehicles are we going to have? How many cars and how many buses? Well, it says here the attendant can have 60. So that means if we add up all the cars, all the buses, we're going to have 60 vehicles. So cars plus buses is equal to 60. Now we have to have another equation because we need two equations with two variables. So we're looking at the other information. The area of the parking lot is 600 square meters, and it looks like a car takes up 6 meters squared and a bus takes up 30 square meters. So for each car, we're going to have 6 square meters. So whenever we see that, we're going to do a multiplication. 6 times the number of cars, because that would be if we had 5 cars, then we would need to put 5 times 6. That would be the total amount of area that each one takes up, plus 30 times each bus, right? So if we have one bus, it's 30 square meters. If we have 2 buses, it's 60 square meters, and so forth. And if we total up all those, the buses and the cars and the square meters of each of them, we should have 600 square meters. Something like that. So again, now we have two equations and two unknowns, and we're going to use either substitution or elimination method. In this case, I'm going to prefer elimination again. So I'm going to multiply the first equation by 6. And I'm going to drop this one right underneath so that I can easily eliminate them. Add or subtract them so I can eliminate one of the variables. It looks like we're going to eliminate C in this case because they're both going to be a coefficient of 6. So we're going to have 6C plus 6B is equal to 360. And again, we're going to take these two now and we're going to subtract. So now we have the C's that drop out. And we're going to have 24B equals, looks like 240. So now all we have to do is solve for B, and we can easily do that by dividing both sides by 24. And we get B is equal to 10. So we would have 10 buses that fill up this parking. Well, they don't fill up the parking lot. We have to find the number of cars. In order to find the number of cars, we're going to plug 10 back into one of our two original equations. I like the first one because it's easier. It has C and B by itself here. Just C and B. It doesn't have any coefficients. So I'm going to plug 10 right back there. And I'm going to have C plus 10 is equal to 60. Subtract 10 from both sides. And I'm going to have C is 50. So we would want to write this in a complete sentence. There will be 10 buses and 50 cars. Okay, there would be 10 buses and 50 cars. So a couple of words of strategy here that you might want to think about. When you read the problem, think about the two items, the two things that we're looking for. Those two things are going to be our two variables. I would use variables that make sense for the context of the problem that we're doing. So in this case, we had cars and buses. I used C and B. In this case, we had brand A and brand B of coffee, so I used A and B. But that's totally up to what your professor or your teacher wants. If they want you to use X and Y all the time, use X and Y. But my suggestion is to use something that makes sense in the context of the problem. Second, make sure you know what you're looking for in the end. I would underline how many pounds of each, how many of each type. In these two, we found both A and B and C and B in this case. But sometimes the questions, they just ask you for one. So you have to be careful, and if you solve for B first, but they're actually asking for how many cars, you're going to want to find the number of cars and then go back and answer the question correctly. So be careful, take your time and read the directions and know which variable you're solving for. If you're solving for both of them, great. If you're solving for one, make sure you have the right one when you plug it back in. Lastly, make sure you've practiced your elimination and substitution, and I think you'll be fine. Again, all this is looking and deconstructing what the problem is to make two equations with two variables. Okay? So if you have any comments or you have anything else you want me to go over, just leave them on the comment sections. Thanks for coming by, and good luck.